Of course they're trying to placate Trump with every move they make, every breath they take, every step they take. Placate, placate, placate.
They're the unfunniest people you're going to find anywhere. Mo Yarborough there, cross-dressing Joe Scarborough. Who killed the intern in your congressional office in Florida? Why is she dead? How old would she be now? Ba-da-ba-da-bum. Bad. You know who can be bad to the bone? Who can be bad to the bone? Your dog, your loving dog, your wonderful dog can be bad to the bone. They love to chew on those bones, those dogs do, don't they? But Democrats, they don't like humanity. They don't like Western civilization. They don't like the United States. If you're a jihadi, they love you, though. It's a suicidal death cult, very Jonestown-y. I think a Democrat should find the new Jim Jones to run for president. The Kool-Aid guy, the 900-plus mass suicide murder, Guyana, South America. Had a nice lady call in yesterday who's originally from Guyana. Wonderful person, lovely lady. Nice conversation. But that's not important now. Here's the headline. And then I want to get the CNN yesterday with, they had one common sense person, one logical person there who naturally had to be shouted down. And what is it? What do they want to? Well, I'll share it with you coming up. CNN, pretty demented stuff. Demented, I'm telling you. Here is the headline from the Daily Mail. That is a newspaper out of the United Kingdom. The New York Times is not covering it. CNN's not covering it. And when they do, they'll cover it from the wrong end of the telescope. But here's the headline, Palestinian activists. It's a Palestinian. There's really no Palestinian ethnic group or anything, but what they mean is Hamas, a Hamas-supporting genocidal Jew hater who's a jihadi. But they use the euphemism. It's like you see yesterday, the New York Times, when they got the transgender mass shooter at the hockey game in Rhode Island. The New York Times said the shooter, they always say shooter like it's fun and you're at the bar. The shooter uses two names. Robert and Roberta, because he's a demented, gender dysphoric Democrat mental case. But that's the euphemism is uses two names, but dead now, used two names, past tense. Isn't that great? But let me get back to that's the euphemism. And the euphemism for this is Palestinian activist, really meaning genocidal Jew hater, kind of a Nazi, should be wearing an armband. But Palestinian activist calls for dogs as pets, to be banned in New York City as indoor pets because they are un-Islamic. And here's the thing, and they're un-Islamic. The Dalmatian is licking my face, but no. So the story goes, famous Palestinian activists, quote, jokes, end quote. That's the revised and extended remarks there. That dogs should be banned as indoor pets in New York City after seeing poop-filled snowdrifts. Everywhere the Democrats go, they're poop-filled something or other because you know how they are. They're very, very unwell. And it's I was reading this and studying in on it when Jason Storm Chaser Nelson on Twitter, he tweeted, Afghanistan veteran, he says, in Afghanistan, I never once noticed a Muslim man treat a dog poorly. Never once noticed a Muslim man treating a dog poorly. Mostly because I was told to look away as they raped young boys. So I might have missed the dog abuse. Got to look out for that. So raping little boys takes priority. But the famous Palestinian activist says that dogs should be banned as indoor pets. They should only be outdoors. And now they have all those homeless people dying on the streets. Maybe comfort dogs. Maybe they could steal your dog and make it a comfort dog. He's also going to raise your taxes. Well, raise my rent. So a Palestinian activist in New York City has called for dogs to be banned as pets in New York City, claiming they aren't Islamic, which is true. Nardine Kiswani, said dogs have a, quote, place in society, end quote, but, quote, not as indoor pets. See, the Democrats are ceding Western civilization to whatever armed gang comes along. Like we've said all along, they are unclean, she wrote on X. They're unclean, she wrote on X. After receiving fierce backlash, she later claimed that her post was just a joke. I'm only joking. I was just going to kill the children, but I was joking. That's the thing. And she says, at the Zionists frothing, listen to this. The Jews, here come the Jews, said it's a joke. And then she says, ha ha, at the Zionists frothing at the mouth at this, thinking they're doing something, she wrote. It's obviously a joke. I don't care if you have a dog. That's why you said it. I do care if your dog is beeping everywhere and you're not cleaning it. Well, then that's not what you said. You said banning dogs as indoor pets because it's un-Islamic. It was quite clear it's not halal. You can do all that. And that's the jihadis. Now, it got better because a Republican member of Congress jumped in, and Randy Fine is his name. And Randy Fine he made a comment about the Muslim woman in New York wanting to ban dogs, and it's headlines everywhere. The Washington Post, left-wing radicals, they hate dogs too, and they hate people even more. But the crazy Democrats, honestly, they're saying Randy Fine jumped in and said, listen, if it's a choice between Muslims and dogs, then the choice is simple. And he says, I like dogs. If Muslims want to ban dogs, maybe you should just go to a country where dogs are banned, or food, or whatever you prefer. Randy Fine, the left-wing Hill. Randy Fine faces censure and resignation calls over post on Muslims and dogs. But the Democrat activist, she has the support of CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is soft jihad. It's societal jihad, cultural jihad. The people at CARE are. A wave of Democrats are calling for Representative Randy Fine, a Republican from Florida, to be formally reprimanded or to resign over a social media post he made saying he would choose dogs over Muslims. Well, dogs don't want to ban Muslims, but, you get Muslims wanting to ban dogs. They're kind of an American custom, dogs as pets, as family pets. Congressman Randy Fine posted on X, he said, if they force us to choose, the choice between dogs and Muslims is not a difficult one. Not a difficult one. He was murdered later in the day. Not yet, but got to look out. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, whose first name is Hakeem, the Democrat from New York, said in a statement Tuesday that Fine is a disgrace to the United States Congress, and said, an Islamophobic, disgusting bigot. And then Hakeem Jeffries detonated a truck bomb at the United States with a remote control, which was kind of weird. But there it is. Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrat leader in the House, called on Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, the Louisiana Republican, and House Republicans to respond, slamming them for continuing to remain silent. Stop shooting people. How about this, you guys? Stop. You shot Donald Trump. You shot and killed Charlie Kirk. You tried to shoot Donald Trump again. You shot Congressman Steve Scalise. You transgender people are massacring people all over the place. Maybe you guys should stop killing people. How about that? And Hakeem Jeffries, radical extremist Jew hater, said, Republican leaders must hold this so-called member of Congress accountable. They always believe in accountability when it's free speech. And then when they burn your town down, they say that's free speech. They attack the police. That's free speech. They get shot. Oh, shot for exercising free speech and running over a federal law enforcement agent who ordered you to get out of the vehicle because you're obstructing police. But never mind that. Here's Hakeem Jeffries. They must hold this member accountable. Political violence. Well, you guys should stop perpetrating political violence, you rioting, looting, plundering gang of criminals. Political violence, xenophobia. You have an irrational fear of Xena, the teenage princess. Xenophobia and hate crimes against the Muslim community are on the rise. Not like the Jews, not like against the Jews, you fascist. And I got to tell you, the Democrat Party is as close to being fascist, and they call everybody fascist for having breakfast in the morning, but never mind that. Xenophobia and hate crimes against the Muslim community are on the rise. House Democrats will not let the racist and bigoted. I can't believe that the black Muslim guy is calling everybody racist and xenophobic. Gosh, this is a new. Wait, he did the same thing yesterday over, your choice of breakfast cereals. They just amazing. And House Democrats will not let the racist, bigoted behavior of Randy Fine go unchecked. Right, and then firebomb a Jewish governor's house. Why don't you? Accountability is coming to all these sick extremists when the gavel changes hands in November, if not sooner. That's going to be gunplay. The Democrat Party is on the brink of civil war against the United States of America. While Jeffries did not provide details on what actions Democrats were planning to take against Fine, is Fine Jewish? Because you know how they hate the Jews, these goose-stepping fascists in the Democrat Party. Randy Fine can be a Jewish name. He's from Florida. Maybe he's the Jew, and the Democrats, they really want to punish him the old-fashioned way. Put him in the back of a bus and he's Jewish. Randy Fine is Jewish. And so Hakeem Jeffries wants to punish him for saying that he'll take dogs over Sharia law, which is what he's really saying. And Hakeem Jeffries apparently is in favor of Sharia law. But wait, it gets better. A censure is a formal reprimand by the House of Representatives that often comes with consequences like being stripped of committee assignments and things like that. Any member can force a snap vote on a censure resolution over the objections of GOP leadership. But wait, hang on. Because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez came in and she stuck her caboose out to the crowd and slapped it for them and said, "Love me, love me." Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, New York Democrat, called Fine, who is Jewish, and his post saying, the choice is easy between dogs and Muslims. Genuinely one of the most disgusting statements I have ever seen issued by an American official. Well, that's just because you're a Putin puppet and you're a Hitler, you're a Nazi, you're a fascist, you're destroying democracy. Oh, wait, that's everything that the Democrats say every day about pro-American people that serve in the military and become law enforcement. And the Democrats, you guys are something. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, the most disgusting thing I've ever heard from an American official. What you just said there is more disgusting than what he said. It should not stop shocking us that the Republican Party openly embraces this. You're the party of slavery and lynching and the bullwhip. You're the party of the Confederate States of America. You're the party that gave us the KKK and Jim Crow. To ignore this is to accept and normalize it. I got to tell you, Democrat Congressman Robert Garcia, a radical extremist from California and ranking member of the House Oversight Committee on Government Reform, said that the Speaker of the House should strip Fine of all his committee and assignments, and he should be forced to resign. Because a Muslim woman in New York wants to ban dogs as household pets. And the whole Democrat Party has come out in favor of banning dogs as household pets by supporting this radical jihadi Palestinian lunatic and the anti-Semite Hakeem Jeffries coming after a Jewish member Fine for standing up for Western civilization. And the Democrat Party doesn't stand up for Western civilization. And they're cross-dressers. They're all cross-dressers. Sure. And Gavin Newsom jumped in. And he called the Jewish congressman. He said, "Resign now, you racist slob," as he supports the jihad. He's supporting Islamic law, Sharia law, to ban dogs as pets. And now these communist nitwits, these nincompoops, from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who should be a stripper in Mexico, and Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Resign now, you racist slob. He's actually standing up against the racist. So it's the opposite of the truth, but the Democrat Party. Wait till you hear CNN and their the backlash. There's more backlash. Anything you say, if it's sane and rational, there's backlash from the Democrats.
You know?
Well, today is Ash Wednesday and the beginning of Lent, as we were just discussing here. And I think these days the Democrats set people on fire for Lent because they're Democrats. Man, oh man. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Mohammed calling from Virginia. Mohammed, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Thank you, Chris, for taking my phone call.
You bet.
Long-time listener, and I believe the last time I called you was 2016. But anyway, this phone call is about a lady that she said to prohibit.
Dog ownership. He's gone? Gone? Mohammed, what happened? We didn't do it. Come on. I was going to say Mohammed called in and spoke to Jasmine, and Mohammed said, I'm a Muslim, but I don't believe that woman said about dogs in New York. So I went to Mohammed. Oh, got him back. Mohammed is back. All right, Mohammed is back. Hey, Mohammed, sorry, you're back.
Yes. The question is, first of all, I see people praying in their own country. It's prohibited to pray in the street. That's for sure.
Uh-huh.
But why they doing it here? And the second thing, if they pray in the street, it's against Islam cleanliness religion, because technically the streets are dirty where animals pee, like a dog.
Uh-huh.
So why they pray in the street?
Well,
because,
are dogs unclean according to Islam and the Hadith and the Quran?
Yeah, but it's true. Yes, but I'm talking about those people. They are hypocrite. They're not true. They go to the street and then they pray.
Right, and that should also violate their standards, right? If they're going to be true to their word.
Exactly. Yes,
okay.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if it's the dog, it's not clean. Why they go to the street and pray?
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing they're Democrats on top of everything else, Mohammed, I got to say. And by the way, beginning of Ramadan today, a happy Ramadan to you as well. Maybe Jewish Congressman Randy Fine from Florida should say that he was only kidding. Yeah, just like the jihadi in New York who wants to ban the dogs. Said, oh, it was a joke. Everybody can see it's a joke. And then... but yeah, we know it can be a very funny bunch, a very, very funny bunch. Sometimes, but not usually. All right, let's go to the telephones. Michael, let's go to Margaret calling from Germantown, Maryland. Margaret, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Good morning, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
You betcha. That's why we're here.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of when I was in college back in the 70s. I had a dorm room that I shared with a very nice girl from Tehran. She was Muslim, but she was very Western and spent half the time of the year when she wasn't in Iran or in school in Paris. So very, very Western. And one weekend I'd gone home and I brought my very sweet, lovely Dalmatian, small dog, not too terribly big, certainly not aggressive, brought it back to school for a couple days, and I snuck her in the dorm room. And when she came in, she freaked out, and I asked her what's wrong. She said, it's a dog, and they're very unclean. And I said, no, she's really clean, you know, she's housebroken and everything. It took her hours to even look at the dog And then, well, she was telling me how, in Iran they don't have these dogs. They don't, they're not kept as pets, nothing. And she finally got up the nerve to touch my dog, and she was shaking and almost crying. And the dog, very sweet, licked her on the hand. And she acted as though she had stuck her hand into a bucket of steaming you-know-what.
Well. Well, it's a cultural.
Unbelievable.
These are cultural norms. Barack Obama famously talked about eating exotic foods, and he finally got around to eating dog because he is in Korea, and he wanted a seat at the table. He hates Western civilization, and Barack Obama bragged about eating dog, and he talked about frogs and snakes and lizards or something, and he said, different countries and all that. And you can avoid eating stupid things if you want, but not if you're perhaps Barack Hussein Obama.
And away from the dinner table, I was introduced to dog meat, tough, snake meat, tougher, and roasted grasshoppers, crunchy.
Now they want all of us to be eating the crunchy grasshoppers and the dog meat. The Democrats will just roll over for any tyrant on the left will roll over for any tyrant on the planet, Margaret. I honestly think that's part of it. And your poor college roommate, a Dalmatian, is right, the sweetest, gentlest, happiest dog. Firehouse dog, a fire truck dog, and 101 Dalmatians and Disney dog, the happiest dog you're going to find anywhere in the world. But cultural norms are cultural norms. And look, if you're Muslim and you live in New York City and you don't want to own a dog, then don't own a dog. But if you're going around saying we need to ban them because, as I like to point out, Margaret, the left, they're like jihadis, they're like Nazis, they're the left, and nobody's killed more people in human history than the left. But they want to be as inviting as possible as long as your values are not American values. And we call it the family dog, Margaret. That's the Dalmatian's sweetest pet ever.
Service dogs, therapy dogs, search and rescue dogs, all these wonderful, wonderful creatures, but they're unclean and they shouldn't be allowed in where humans are, which is, I just don't understand it.
Well, in Islamic culture, that is the norm. And of course, the Persian, you're in the 1970s, so probably before the Islamic Revolution in Iran, and the Shah was still in power. And they were a very Western nation under the Shah, and women were treated as full-grown adults and could dress normally and go to college and have jobs and do all kinds of great normal things in Iran when the Shah was in charge. And the Democrats hung the Shah out to dry and paved the way for the Ayatollah to take over, the Ayatollahs and the mullahs to take over. And the place has been a nightmare ever since. And Jimmy Carter and the Democrats were on the wrong side of that, as they're on the wrong side of everything, Margaret.
But here is the clincher. Her final semester in college, she told me that when she graduated, she would have to go back to Iran and marry somebody she had never met before because it was an arranged marriage, very Islamic. She dropped out and never graduated. She went back. She did marry whoever this was. I don't know if they're still married, but she lives now in California. And I guess she got a degree somewhere. Maybe she became more American than Islamic. And she's a psychologist now. So
wow.
Heaven help us, right?
Well, hey, look, she fled there and came here. And again, 1979, it rolled over. And it's true that arranged marriage is a traditional cultural and family customs and so on. And I'd say on some level, maybe culturally, some of that's none of my business. I won't tell you who to marry, and you don't tell me what kind of house pet to have. How about that?
Absolutely.
Oh,
well, thanks for taking my call. It's a great show. I love it, and I think you're about the same age as my son. So.
Is that right? That's wonderful. Well, you're great. You're wonderful, and I'm glad you called in with that story. That's fun.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Margaret. Wonderful. Isn't that great? All right, let's get to these dim-witted Democrats, because they're always giving me all this stuff, this ridiculous stuff. Let's see, where we We going to, where am I going? 22? Is that where I'm going? I think first the Kevin O'Leary. Let's go to Kevin O'Leary. He's the Shark Tank guy. He's a big investments guy, and he's a smart guy. Seems like a pretty mellow guy. He's always got a smile on his face, and he's telling jokes and stuff. And Kevin O'Leary, the big money guy. He was invited on CNN inexplicably. He should never go on again. And on CNN, Kevin O'Leary, he's got Abby Phillip. Abby Phillip is the anchor lady, and she's a Democrat and a leftist, of course. And she's got Kevin O'Leary on, and Kevin O'Leary, he's at the panel, and I think there are 5 or 6 people at this Lucite table that they're gathered around. And Abby Phillip is just going on. Well, they're talking about ICE and what they were. Oh yeah, the Georgia election, the Trump Justice Department looking at the Georgia county election corruption, looking for chicanery by the Democrats. And when you say you're going to do that, then the Democrats go crazy and they self-immolate and they firebomb Jewish people and how dare you look at, no, everything's completely illegitimate. There's never been a vote stolen, except 2 Republicans in Mississippi that the liberal on my TV show cited last night. I'm like, well, is there no voter fraud, or you found 2 guys and they're both Republicans, and they scream and yell and pound the table. They're spitting mad. They're mentally ill. Here's Kevin O'Leary with anchor lady Abby Phillip, and they're talking about they're supposed to be talking about Georgia and election fraud. We're going to Anna Navarro first, who's their pretend Republican on the panel, but she's not. She's gone like completely Joe Scarborough.
Okay, let me just say something, though. We are seeing this happen over and over again, where the federal government is fabricating things, lying. Yes. Just in the last few weeks, we have seen cases involving. May I? We have seen cases involving federal agents. With a Venezuelan national in Minneapolis.
A Venezuelan national.
They claimed had charged them with a snow shovel and attacked them. Christy Noel,
have to do with the
let me get my point across, and then you can. And the point is,
I'm going to lie, and then you can talk.
The point is that they charged them criminally, and when they went to court, evidence proved that what they had said was a lie. That this government lies. That's the point.
That's the point. So they're talking about Georgia elections, and Anna Navarro says a Venezuelan national in Minnesota was arrested because the police said that he attacked them with a shovel. And then she insists that although it's got nothing to do with what they're talking about, which is election fraud in Georgia, and she's suddenly attacking ICE in Minnesota because she says that the federal government lied. Well, we noticed decades ago that the federal government lies. Your city governments lie. Your state governments lie. I just quoted Gavin Newsom. But isn't that amazing? Yeah. Oh, wait. So, Anna Navarro, you detected that sometimes the government doesn't tell the truth, and that's why when we're talking about Georgia elections, you say a Venezuelan national was a victim of some kind, and Kevin O'Leary is just like he's saying, well, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? You're now talking about like abortion rights for kittens or something, and it's got nothing to do with what we're saying. And Kevin O'Leary and Abby Phillip.
All right, Kevin, a quick last word.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm not sure.
My last word is you're all nuts. Like, that's just...
Oh, my God.
Thank you, Kevin.
Guys,
am I in on that?
Okay. Look, we got to keep it together here, okay?
Too late.
Honestly. I mean, there's a way to talk about these things. If you don't have anything to say, just say that, and I won't come to you next time.
Important.
You don't
all right.
I just said something very important. You're all nuts. Say you're all nuts. And honestly, he's an adult. He's like dad at the table, Kevin O'Leary. And we're talking about election fraud in Florida and looking into it. And you start talking about an illegal alien Venezuelan who attacked federal agents with a shovel. And for some reason, out of the blue, you're defending the guy attacking agents with the shovel. And ICE agents may have lied about shooting of migrant in Minneapolis, officials say, the BBC reporting. And officials are Democrats. That means Democrats. Just amazing. And that's what she's going off on, having nothing to do with anything. And then he says, well, you're all nuts. And he's laughing. He says it with a smile on his face because whatever the hell we're talking about here, it's not what we were talking about a minute ago. And then Abby Phillip, pretending to be a journalist, had a meltdown and had to be scraped off the ceiling.
All right, next for us, everyone, thank you for being here.
That was a stretch. It was
next.
insane.
Excuse me.
A shovel.
Excuse me. Stop. Kevin, stop.
The federal government lies.
Next for us, we are honoring a civil rights icon.
Yeah, we're honoring a civil rights icon, and that's Jesse Jackson, of course. Isn't that wonderful stuff? So Kevin O'Leary said, "You're all nuts," and they all proved that they're all nuts. And we're talking about looking at voter fraud in Georgia, and she's screaming about a Venezuelan national, she says, an illegal alien is what she means, attacking federal agents with a shovel. And she says, and then they went to court and proved it wrong. But how about Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein? Everything that they said they lie, and Hillary Clinton was lying about it yesterday. Just amazing stuff. Yes, sir.
You're all nuts.
2 Venezuelan men were charged with assaulting a federal official after a traffic stop, and an ICE agent led to one of them being shot because they're violently attacking federal law enforcement. Now, DOJ says it's dropping the charges due to newly discovered evidence. But the Democrats, they just go defending the criminals because that's what they do. All right, now I don't have time to get to the next part of the CNN thing because they're nuts. But I guess I could give let's start because this is good stuff. Here is CNN Pamela Brown, and she announces that she, for CNN, has been working on a long secret project, and the secret project is on the danger and the threat posed by white people who are Christians in the United States of America, and then they firebombed a synagogue. Here is CNN's Pamela Brown announcing the big project she's been working on.
Well, for the past several months, I've been working on a special project examining the growing influence of Christian nationalism in America.
Several months.
If you're not familiar, Christian nationalism is an ideology rooted in the belief that our country was founded as a Christian nation and that our laws and institutions should reflect Christian values.
That's true.
In the lead up to my hour-long documentary this weekend, we're going to bring you a preview of what you'll see.
That's not Christian nationalism.
With the assassination of Charlie Kirk last year. Experts say it was a pivotal moment for the movement and an occasion where the tragedy of his loss unified Christian nationalists and the Trump administration as they honored him.
And they Charlie Kirk, who was shot through the neck and murdered, assassinated by a sniper. And the Democrats are like, well, the sniper is the hero of the story. Charlie Kirk is the bad guy because he's a Christian and he's what they call a nationalist, which means he understands the fact that this nation, the greatest nation God has ever allowed to prosper on planet Earth, was founded by Christians who believed that Christianity and morality had to be a part of our nation, and the Democrats have murdered morality in the cradle. Pamela Brown, listen, from the very upset from the Charlie Kirk Memorial.
September 21st, 2025.
Murder, assassination, death.
America is a nation in grief, a nation in shock.
Charlie Kirk's memorial.
And a nation in mourning.
Christian nationalists.
Charles James Kirk was heinously murdered.
That young man, I forgive him.
The widow of Charlie Kirk, and they're literally mocking it and denouncing as Christian nationalism, a funeral for an assassinated young man who went to college campuses and said, if you disagree with me, come to the front of the line. Might have lifted that from my radio show decades ago. But then Democrats stopped calling in because they realized they don't have anything intelligent to say. Kind of sad, really. But it's white Christian nationalism. These white Christian nationalists, that's the biggest threat America's facing, while Democrats firebomb Jews and shoot and kill people with rifles in the name of their politics. But that's okay. We're at 888-630-9625. I've got a couple more from this CNN segment.
You're all nuts.
And it's mailbag day. Have my mailbag questions right in front of me as we speak. But let's go back to CNN for just a moment, because they, the terror of white Christian nationalism and Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump, and then they looted the local CVS and firebombed some police cars. Here is the clown car at CNN, Pamela Brown, and talking about the Charlie Kirk Memorial Service.
Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist and prominent Christian nationalist, was assassinated.
Christian nationalist.
It became a rallying call for those who believed in his message.
He was not a Christian nationalist.
Our greatest evangelist for American liberty became immortal.
And it was a call to action.
When a Democrat shot and killed him.
My charge to all of you, put Christ at the center of your life as he advocated for giving his.
Oh, no, Christian nationalism. And the CNN, she's been working on it for months, and she's no smarter today than she was then. Isn't that amazing? And then they had Matthew Taylor, Georgetown University Center for Faith and Justice, come on.
The memorial service was one of the most potent examples of the shift in our culture that we're experiencing right now.
The shift.
Where a large segment of American Christians are being activated by these ideas, radicalized
Christians
that say that they are the persecuted ones and that they need to stand up for Christians' rights.
As they're being persecuted on CNN by this dim-witted person, and they brought in a Georgetown, which used to be, I think, a Catholic university. It used to be a Catholic university. Now they're more hell-bent, I think, on cross-dressing, but isn't that amazing? Yeah, and the white nationalism and Charlie Kirk and Christians are being, and it's a danger, it's a threat. I'm sorry, who did Charlie Kirk shoot with a rifle again? Who did Donald Trump shoot with a rifle? Who's the second guy that Donald Trump tried to shoot with the rifle? And who shot Steve Scalise? Who firebombed everything?